Hello, my name's Jason. I'm here to talk about supercharging Gradle with NX. And my name is Jason, I already said that. I'm the tech lead of the NX CLI project, which I'll be talking about today. I've been working on it for 7 years now. So this talk is basically me nerding about what I built. But it also means that I've spent quite a bit of time thinking about the problems that I'm talking about solving with Fortune 500 companies and working on projects with like hundreds of developers on dozens of teams. So I have a little bit of experience. I'm based in Toronto, so I've come from a little bit of a way. And there's all my socials if you want to follow me. NX is a company. We spent 8 years servicing Fortune 500 companies and learning from that to build a build tool so that you don't have to. Over half of the Fortune 500 companies today use NX, and those are some of the logos below. All right, what is NX? So NX is a build tool that allows you to have smart monorepos and fast CI at the same time. And today I'll be talking about the advanced CI capabilities, and particularly for Gradle, Maven will be coming soon. And yeah, let's get started. So why is slow CI a huge problem? I don't think I really have to sell this too much, but there's many different things. So people are just not happy when their CI is slow, but also, people will quit. You don't want to hire new developers, high compute costs to run all that stuff, but like with no real benefit to your revenue. And then ultimately it makes you slower to market and lose revenue that way. So for today, I'll be going through a case study of the Spring Boot repo, and I'll be talking a little bit about how that can be improved with NX. So the Spring Boot repo has 191 projects. It has 5,674 tasks, but the key thing is that it takes an hour and 44 minutes in CI in the worst case scenario. So the scenario where like nothing gets reused from cache, this takes an hour and 44 minutes. So just a quick refresher on Gradle. Gradle has this feature called multi-project builds, which allows you to structure your repo into little projects. And with little projects, it also comes with little tasks. And it comes with many little tasks, which Gradle will run in parallel, right? So this will allow you to run 4 things at once, 8 things at once, and it takes 104 minutes. Something that Gradle does is cache these tasks, so some of them get replayed, and then others they have to rerun. But this still takes quite a while. It depends on what you're testing and like what the change that you're making, but this could take 50 minutes, we'll say, like half the time, half of the things get cached. And if you're really advanced, if you've like poured a lot of resources into this, you can even add more machines to this, and you can just send like one project over here, one project over there, and this might get you down to 30 minutes, and you're pretty happy with yourself. But this is actually still a long time, and it can be better. So now I'll switch gears to talking about how NX makes Gradle faster. Okay, let's start the timer. So 5 minutes is going to be the target time we'll be going for, and I'll be going through quite a few strategies. So binning is what I was talking about before, where you would send tasks to different machines. So one machine would get one project, other machines would get a different project. This is actually it's easy to implement, but it's not ideal. When we talk about scheduling things, it's much easier to schedule just like one slice of time at once, and then to go back to an orchestrator and to see which tasks should come after. And then by doing this, you can actually distribute them in a more optimal way. And so this also takes 30 minutes, but there's a key difference, which is the machines on the bottom are not necessary after those tasks finish. So they can go home early. And this is important for your cost savings so that you don't have to pay for those machines to stay active for those, let's say, 15 minutes. But that's not getting us any faster. So how do we get faster? So a lot of the times when you make a change that you want to test in CI, only half of the things need to be run, or like a subset. So most of the changes are like, let me just change this API. You don't need to run all of your tests. So Gradle and Maven, they'll run all your tests all the time, hopefully use some from cache. But what NX does is even smarter, where it identifies the tasks that you really need to run and only runs those, right? So now this is doing less, and by doing less, we can do it faster, right? So if we juggle these around in the orchestration, now you can see that it now takes 20 minutes instead of the 30 minutes because we're doing less. Now you'll see that the task at the top, the dark blue bars, let's call those your integration tests or your end-to-end tests, the ones that take a long time. And you might think we've reached our limit here because those tasks just take a long time, or you're just gonna have to wait for a little bit. So what NX does is says it's not good enough. I don't want to wait for those tasks. We have other machines sitting here idling. So let's break these large tasks up and then redistribute them across other machines. So it's the same suite of tests, but think about in your IDE when you go in and you try to run a test, you don't run the whole suite of tests. You go in and you run the one test that you know is either going to pass or fail, right? So NX does the same thing, but in CI, and this allows us to get down to 5 minutes. All right, we reached our goal. Talk over. But wait, there's one more thing. So I want to talk about flaky tasks. We all have them. They suck. So, this situation where one test fails and you as a very diligent developer, you decide, all right, let me just start up the machines again and rerun everything. And this time it's faster, but it, still takes time. And this is just the very best case scenario if you're watching your CI like a hawk. But usually what happens is that you push up your change and then you go into a meeting. And then you realize it failed. After this hour-long meeting, you go and trigger it. But we've spent all this time kind of optimizing down to the 5 minutes, but we're back to this 65-minute mark, right? Not at the fault of Gradle or NX or anything, right? Just a normal part of a developer's day in the life, right? But it doesn't have to be this way. So I want to focus in on the dark blue task that ran on the second try. So it's the same test, but this time it passes because it's just a test that fails half the time. So what NX does is that during its initial run, it invalidates that test that fails, and it replays it on a different machine. So if it failed on one machine, let's try it again on a second machine, but as part of one run. So that's as part of one CI run. And then because everything passes, it will warn you, that'll say, you have a flaky test. It failed once, but it succeeded the second time. Let's move forward for now, but you'll keep that warning for later. And so now I can go back to that meeting and my boss can say, wow, that's amazing. Forget being a 10x developer. You're an NX developer. All right, so to recap, we talked about a few things that NX does to make your build times faster. So we have parallel tasks, cache tasks, distributed tasks, all the stuff that I talked about. And now you're wondering, do I have to switch from Gradle or Maven? Nobody really wants to work on their tooling all day. They're probably more interested in working on features that make them money. So I want to talk a little bit about how NX integrates with Gradle. So Gradle defines projects like this. You have individual tasks that run in Gradle. And what NX does is it reads from Gradle. It duplicates the projects or reflects over the projects into NX. And then it will bring those Gradle tasks inside of it. So now NX has the same ability to run all those Gradle tasks in a thin wrapper, but it has the kind of big brains to orchestrate all of that. And with that is all I had. I'm pretty sure the last time I did this talk, it took twice as long. You want to see more? Okay, so I did not kind of prepare this enough, but I will show you the actual Spring Boot runs. So this is a fork of Spring Boot that we've been iterating on and trying to figure out what's the best way for NX to run this. Now, even with a tool like NX, it's not just like a one kind of like time application. There's some heuristics that you can toy around with, such as how many agents do you want to run. So for that number of 104 minutes, 1 minute or 1 hour and 44 minutes, it's able to bring that down. Let me see if this is the correct run. And it's not. Sorry, I did. I really thought that I had more slides somewhere. But maybe I'm just super fast and hyped up on coffee right now. Give it a second. Uh-huh. So you can already see that 104-minute build now takes 45 minutes. And this is by running on 3 different machines. So not too much of a cost, kind of like inflation, probably even a cost saving. But for the time that you save, it matters. So in the hour that you save, you could have been working on a new feature, you could have been in more meetings, probably, because that's what happens with our days. But yeah, you can see that 3 agents ran tasks. So each of these agents are running like 16 tasks at once, 16 tasks. And this is able to finish it in 51 minutes, 45 minutes. So that's it for now. Should I take questions? Question in the front left?
So I used NX with feed,
Uh-huh.
and then I think that feed wasn't really aware that NX was like orchestrating it. So
Mm-hmm.
I assume that Gradle also, you don't need to change anything in the Gradle files. You just
Correct.
NX call Gradle. But if you have like one Gradle file and all sub Gradle files, you use an NX file instead to call all of the separate ones of them, or?
Yeah, so the question, if I just repeat it for the audience, is that like, will NX just kind of use Gradle's information to repeat and like inspect what's going on? And yeah, so as I said in my slides, like what happens is that these Gradle tasks just become visible to NX, and NX will run these tasks. So you don't have to change your Gradle at all. Like you can continue configuring more Gradle and more Gradle, and NX will orchestrate the the run. Over there.
You claim that NX will build faster, right, than Gradle.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, okay. The question is it taking into consideration some kind of a cached state, build cache? Sorry, is it a repeated build or like build from scratch? I mean, in Gradle there is a build cache, and the first time the
Yes.
time can be big, but the next time it can be pretty fast, like 30 seconds.
Yes.
So what about NX?
Yeah. So the question is, claims that NX is faster than Gradle, but did I consider the caching? For the 104 minutes, no. Like that is no caching worst case scenario for like maybe times when you're upgrading Java. You do actually want to rerun everything. But yes, I did consider the caching as well. So one, NX also has a cache. So if you rerun it with NX, it'll actually be even faster than if you reran it through Gradle and Gradle hits the cache. The NX caching, it just seems faster. Um, so yeah, there's that. That is not what I meant by getting down to the 44 minutes though. The 45 minutes is also worst case scenario, no cache involved, only utilizing more hardware for the same problem and smarter scheduling. The 5 minutes that I talked about in my slides, that one is regarding using the cache and also using more mechanisms for the non-best, like the non-worst case scenario, but more of a scenario that you'd run into every day when you're making small changes. In the front?
Can you use NX also on your local machine?
Yeah, the question is, can you use NX on the local machine? And yes, you could use NX on the local machine. So it runs locally, it runs in CI. Basically, anywhere that you can run Gradle, you can run Gradle through NX.
How much faster is that?
Yeah, so all of these benefits are good benefits for CI, but they also apply for when you're running locally. The wonderful thing about NX is that you're able to pull down a repository and then like immediately you're able to just kind of reproduce everything from cache so that kind of the developer's first day on the job, they're able to like get up and running. Or when you just wake up and there's been like 100 more commits to the master branch and the main branch, like somebody's already built that, CI's already built that, so you can get up and running in the morning without having to recompile everything because all your code changed. So all of these benefits also apply for local development as well, which is extremely important for just round trip cycles. I think I'll leave it at that. Thank you, Slide. Visit us at our booth. Visit us at nx.dev/java. And then special shout out to Emily, who's also based in Toronto. She's a developer that worked on most of these features. Again, I'm Jason. I'm the lead of the NX project. There was like a slight mention before, but NX is actually framework agnostic, and we have a bunch of other features as well. So make sure to visit the site and come talk to us at our booth.